Insights with Nandu. So in the last video, we talked about some of the general principles of what it needs to get promoted, what you need to get promoted. So now, how did this apply in my own career? And how did my own career evolve? And can I share with you some examples? I've received this query from several of you, so here goes. The first thing is, I was lucky in my career evolution to be in the right place at the right time. But when I think back on my career, there are several themes that I can identify which link back to the principles that I spoke to you about in the previous video on episode 05. I started my career in Ponds India Limited in Chennai. And as part of a management trainee assignment, one of the first things you do is you go out and you work in sales. So my first time out in sales, and I went out and I did a few sales calls and I came back and I was then quizzed by my boss at the time. And I realized that I had not paid enough attention to what I was doing in sales, whether it was on pricing, whether it was on the batch numbers of the stocks in the store or the hygiene. So I was so ashamed and mortified. I made a resolution from that day onwards to be completely on top of whatever I was doing. And that meant taking complete responsibility for what I was doing. So then I paid a lot of attention to what was happening, and I made sure that I was really top of my game on that area. That taught me the importance of taking responsibility for something. A few months into the role, I had to make a presentation to the sales force, and there were 100 people in the room, maybe 200 people, and I walked up and I had to speak to them. And you know, like Jim Carrey in The Mask, my heart was going like this. I was so scared. Well, the presentation went well. I had a lot of rehearsals before that, and at the end of the presentation, the then chief of the advertising agency took me aside, put his arm around my shoulder and said, "Nandu, great presentation. But I counted, you said the word gentleman 41 times in your presentation." So obviously I was so nervous, I was repeating that. So that was a big wake-up call to me in how to build my communication skills and leadership skills. Well, fast forward a few years and I joined Godrej in the sales branch in North India, in Delhi branch. And I was looking after sales in UP and Haryana and Nepal and places like that. And what I very quickly discovered was that I had people reporting to me who were older than me, more experienced than me, and they understood sales a lot better than me. So very quickly, I realized that I had to be humble and learn from the people who reported to me and imbibe all the learning. And this called for an enormous effort, not only to develop learning agility, but to develop my leadership skills and my communication skills. So it was a tough challenge, but it was a challenge that forced me again to up my game and learn this. I fast forward a few more years and I joined Nestle. And in Nestle, I was asked to launch chocolates in India at the time in 1989. So I was very pleased and I went and asked my boss and said, great, launching chocolates. So we didn't have a factory, we didn't have a license from the government. Those were the days of the license Raj. And we did have a co-manufacturing agreement with a co-manufacturer in Mangalore. But I had no team. So I said, do I get any people reporting to me? I really had no team. I was a one-man team. Luckily, I did get a couple of very bright management trainees who were assigned to me to work to launch this. And together, what we found was that the only way we could make this work was we had to mobilize the entire company and start to unleash the creativity of the entire company without any hierarchical reporting to our unit. So this taught us not only refine the leadership and communication skills that we had learned earlier, but also taught us the importance of influencing and networking across the company. These skills which actually become very useful later on in life. So almost at every phase of life, I was learning these new skills that I talked about in the previous video. Fast forward a few more years, and I was in Indonesia during the 1998 economic crisis. And that was an incredibly tough crisis for government, for society. The rupiah depreciated from 2,000 rupiah to a dollar all the way to 17,000 rupiah to a dollar. An entire middle class was forced into poverty at the time. The economy contracted. But Nestle stayed. We stayed true to the values. We stayed true to our people. Nobody was laid off. And we stayed true to our consumers and did not sacrifice quality. So the whole principle of how to deal with a crisis, how to manage with a crisis without compromising on fundamentals was an incredible learning experience. So almost every stage of my career, I was faced with new challenges and where I was kind of out of my comfort zone, and I was forced to learn a new skill in order to survive and grow. Luckily, I had along the way imbibed this learning agility and the curiosity that forced me to ask questions and learn continuously. And things went wrong often. I made mistakes often, but every single time I asked myself, so what can I learn from this? How can I make sure the next time I do it even better? So that really is what drove my personal development, and obviously the leaders who were responsible for developing me took it upon themselves to not only recognize the fact that I was a learner, but also to throw me into situations outside my comfort zone and force me to learn. And that's how I was able to build my career. I was lucky, but I did demonstrate learning agility. I did learn how to take ownership. I did learn leadership. I did learn communication. I did learn how to build a soft network to influence. I did learn crisis management, and I did learn how to network. So all of these skills really then helped build a career. My personal brand eventually, your brand is what lives in the minds of the people around you. So my personal brand eventually was built not only on my track record, but on how I treated people and how I interacted with people. So that is very important to understand in your own mind why you seek a leadership role and what your leadership role should be and why anyone should be led by you. Well, that's a topic we will talk about in one of the future episodes. But for now, I hope my personal story has served to illustrate to you how the principles we talked about in the previous video applied to me. Most important thing, have a positive attitude. Look for the learning in every single opportunity. Because in life, often it is the toughest situations we face that force us to grow and develop ourselves and new skills and new capabilities. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you have any questions, do post them in the comments below and I'll try to respond to them. I hope you found that useful and interesting. Now here's what I'd like you to do. If you liked the video, please click the like button. If there's something more you'd like to listen to or a point of view that you have, please engage, please leave a comment and I'll try and respond to it either directly or in future videos. And most importantly, if you liked the video or you found something relevant, please share it with your friends. Finally, please hit the subscribe button and also click the bell icon so you can get notifications whenever we post fresh videos. Thank you for being with us and help make this channel a success, so together we can explore many new areas and grow intellectually together.